How can sample data be used to form an estimate about the population? A proportion can be written to relate the sample to the population and solve to form an estimate. That's the answer to this question. But the best way to explain this is by using an example. Let's just say you're going to randomly select 50 people in the street and you're going to ask them a question, for example, how many of those people ate waffles for breakfast that morning? So you select 50 random people. This is going to be your sample data. There's going to be 50 people you randomly select. And out of those 50 people, let's just say that maybe out of those 50 people, 10 of these ate waffles that morning. That's going to be the data you've collected. Now, in order to use this for a bigger population, you would just simply use a proportion. Let's just say, for example, instead of 50 people, let's just say you want to find out of 5,000 people, how many of those people would have eaten waffles as an estimate. So you can set up a proportion, which I'll do on this side. And this is how I like my proportions. The proportion is basically two fractions that equal to one another. So for example, in this case, I could say that, well, 50 people, of the 50 people that someone surveyed, those people, 10 ate waffles for breakfast. Now, what if I want my population to increase, let's just say to 5,000? Now, if my population is 5,000, then I could give a good estimate that probably the people that ate waffles that morning are going to be 1,000. Now, to solve this, you just this is the answer. To solve it, you would multiply this 5,000 times this 10, and the x times the 50, and then simplify. Let me do it right quick. Cross multiply this number with that number, and multiply that number times that number. So 5,000 times 10 is equal to 50 times, in this case you would not know that it's 1,000 because that's what we're trying to figure out. So let me erase this right here. Let's just call this x. 50 times x. Use a dot here to not get confused. So 5,000 times 10 gives me 50,000. Is equal to 50 times x. To get rid of this 50, I just divide by 50. Since I'm multiplying, do the opposite. Divide by 50. And that shows me that if you divide these two numbers, you get 1,000 is equal to x. So that means that around 1,000 out of the 5,000 people, 1,000 would eat breakfast that morning. Now this is an example of what we're talking about. So a proportion can be written to relate the sample to the population and solve to form an estimate. So these proportions will help you find an estimate to the total amount of people you're trying to survey. Of those people, how many of those will satisfy the data that you said.